Welcome back, everyone. So I was talking about the two different ways in which white people relate, at least to me, as one African American. Certainly, I can't speak for all. I didn't talk about the fact that recently I went up to Idlewild, California with some friends, both of whom were white. We walked into a store after taking a hike, and we wanted to get water and some chips. My two friends walk in, uneventful. I walk in behind them. The employee behind the deli, uh, upon seeing me, upon taking one look at me, puts the knife down, comes walking from around the deli counter and following me around the store. I can't tell you how many times that has happened to me, that I've been followed around a store. The assumption is that I'm a thief. I'm there to shoplift. I've been stopped by the police and hassled for no reason. I won't go into the details of that, maybe in another video, but all of which is to say that there's that one kind of white person who treats me with courtesy and respect and dignity and politeness, who just communicates that I'm comfortable with you. You're a human being, I'm a human being, this is a light moment. And then there's that other kind of white person who immediately sees me as someone to be suspect of, someone that they have to be careful of, perhaps even fearful of. Now, I know that this is very simple. I've boiled this down to a level that is very simplistic. I totally acknowledge that. I mean, because I understand that the white person who may be very courteous to me in that store, in that public place, they have a serious problem if their son or daughter brought a black person home as a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I know that. I also know that the person who, followed me around a store might have a good friend at work or in their personal life, in their neighborhood perhaps, who's black. But when confronted with this unknown black person, the stereotype is right there. I understand that. My point, though, is that I have those two very different kinds of interactions with white people all the time on a regular basis. And one of the points I'm making is that, in my view, one of the reasons why as a nation it has been so difficult for us to move, to make significant progress with regard to racism, that is emotional racism, not legal racism. One of the reasons why it's been so difficult for us to move, in my view, with this issue is that so many people, and particularly white people, more so in my experience than people of color, deny that latter kind of experience. You see, they'll say, that didn't happen to you because you're black. It happens to everybody. Everybody has a bad waiter every now and then. It's just, the luck of the draw. Or, it didn't happen to you because of your race. It couldn't have, because it happens to me too. Or, why do you chalk everything up to your race? Or, why are you always playing the race card? Why are you so sensitive? You see, and that's a big problem. Because if we can't acknowledge those experiences, if we can't acknowledge that they happen, and they happen to millions of people on a regular basis because of their race, we're not going to get very far in this whole issue of understanding race, understanding racism. You see, and so we've got to be able to acknowledge, that stuff is still there. There are still people who behave that way, who act that way, who have those almost implicit assumptions, instant assumptions about people of color. And boy, does that impact relationships. Now, in the workplace, I know that managers, for example, can be very, very good about these issues. But when stressed, when they're under a deadline, for example, they have to meet this deadline. They have to have this report submitted by a certain date. An African American member of their team may be the best analyst, the best writer, the best person to get this job done and to turn in a quality product. But because they're under stress and their boss is going to be looking at this report and they have to have it in by a certain time, I have seen them give that assignment to a white team member, even though they know that a black team member is better, because they just can't risk it and it feels too risky giving it to that black employee. That's what happens to us when we're under stress. So now with regard to these police officers who are killing black men, and again, it's not a simple issue of black and white, because, as has been said many times, 3 of the 6 officers in the Freddie Gray case in Baltimore were black. The judge that let them off is black. But I think I'm correct in saying that, well, the vast majority of what we've been seeing in the media is white cops killing black men. I think it's true. I think it's fair to say that that's the overwhelming majority of these cases. That's the pattern, if you will. I think that what happens is that in that instant, just like with that manager in that report, under stress, this white cop who may have a, great relationship with his black peers, and I'm saying his because we're talking about male cops, or who may have a very good relationship with his black neighbor in his neighborhood, for example, that same white cop, when under stress, is in this position knowing that, gosh, if I make one wrong move, it could cost me my life. Oh, there's the stereotype. This is a black man. He's violent. He's dangerous. Maybe the stereotype is he's bigger and stronger than me. Even if he isn't bigger, he's probably stronger than me. Stereotype, And so, boom, the stress kicks in, and that man, for no good reason, loses his life. I'm going to talk about what as a country we need to do about this, because that's the question. What can we do about it? I think I need to give you a part 3, though, for that. Stay tuned.